Hey, what is up, you guys? Today we're gonna be playing some more Identity 5. So I do have bad news. I didn't actually properly record any of these matches. So that's really great. I got to the start of the last game that I played today, and I realized that I hadn't pressed the record button. So that's incredibly lovely, but we have a solution. I am going to just play through the replays of the matches and commentate over them as best I can. So that's what we're going to be doing instead. So hopefully that, works out and I can do a good job commentating over it. But yes, today I finally took my Ripper into rank to see how successful I could be. There was one game that I don't want to talk about because everything went wrong, and like inside of the game and in my own outside of the game, my own area, just like there was so many distractions. It was awful. But yes, we don't talk about that one. We're gonna show the other ones because I think I did pretty good on them, and I want to show them off. So yeah, if you end up enjoying this video, I would really appreciate if you could like and subscribe. I post every single day of the week, and I stream on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and you do not want to miss it. With that all out of the way, let's look at these games. All right, this is our first match. I'm going to try and commentate over as best as I can for all of these. This will be the general layout I always have. It will always be centered on me, not the survivors. You can see our spawn point in the top left. And yeah, let's get into it. Spawn on Red Church, we have a Journalist, LG, Explorer, and Lanternist. I do obviously know where all of them spawned. I was kind of apprehensive to chasing the Explorer because I didn't want to end up trying to run for him, end up not finding him at all because he's the best hiding decoder to exist. So I opt to go for Lanternist instead, which is risky against Explorer, or against Ripper rather, because obviously she can delay chip damage, but she doesn't have Flywheel up yet, so she obviously can't avoid that damage. And she kind of does a goofy little weird double back there, which lets us get a very early down. So at this point, I'm just looking at ciphers. Obviously, I saw the far one where LG is on moving. And also, I know that everyone kind of spawned this right side of the map. So I know that there has to be someone on that cipher. And I also see someone, the cipher that Journalist was on, Jiglin. At this point, I also don't know where Explorer is. And I also don't realize that LG has just completely done a loop-de-loop around to save the Lanternist. And as soon as I realize that my tinnitus is gone, I'm like, okay, they're going to just save Lanternist. I'm going to let them save and go for someone else here. I also do believe I got a noise notification from Explorer picking up Page, so I run over here to try and find him. I kind of didn't expect to find him, if I'm honest. I expected to find Journalist here. I'm not entirely sure why, if I'm honest, but we do find him. Unfortunately, I hit my Fog Blade wrong, which triggers my attack animation, like attack recovery, but that's okay. Because we have blink, and we just blink for the hit. I didn't want to prolong the kite by getting hit with the pallet. Obviously, we have a good amount of pressure here already, but I wanted to make sure I down in this area because that makes me able to get basement. So I get a basement chair here. Everyone else is fully healed. LG healed up Lanternist, and we can presume that Journalist goes for the save here since it's the rescue and she's nearby. Hit her with Fog Blade first and try and hit her with a basic attack, but she has a really well-timed mini Orphe, which lets them get down for that save. And here, since they did, I just try and go for a drop-down double hit, which I do succeed in. So that is 2 hits on both the Explorer and Journalist. At this point, I'm kind of just like, okay, I need to get the decoder out, because if I don't, this Explorer could kind of cook me. So I go for Explorer first. And I'm looking at ciphers here. I can see that there are certain ones jiggling, the ones that Lanternist and LG are on. I use a Fog Blade here for the speed boost that it gives me. If you don't know, if you're in that little fog trail as Ripper, you do get speed. So it's a good way to traverse the map. And at this point, I obviously find Journalist here. I knew she'd run this direction because, let's be honest, where else was she running? I saw her running this direction when I was going for Explorer. So I could have predicted that she was going to go for the other one. We also know that Explorer ends up getting out here because no one's going for the save. kind of a risky and kind of bad fog blade, honestly. I would have been able to potentially get a down before she even rescued, but doesn't matter. We do still chair her. And at this point, we see journalists running back into graveyard, or not graveyard, this sort of pew area. Can't remember what it's called. But as you know, Lanternist is also here. I kind of try and predict with the fog blade where she's going to move, but obviously it doesn't work. So what I do here is I'm okay. I'm like, okay, let's just let them decode for now because they're still in a pretty good spot. And I try and bait a TS here by giving a mini fog blade and then instantly hitting. It's worked a few times in the past. Was hoping it would work here, but obviously it didn't. I prefer going for Lanternist here over LG. Just because I feel like I'm more confident in this one. I was trying to anticipate my fog blade getting up, but it was not quite fully charged. It was like 1 second off. But we do get our hit there, obviously through the wall. We love Ripper. Yeah, I was still talking to myself while quote unquote recording these matches, because obviously I wasn't recording, and I was like, if you didn't know, Ripper could actually hit through walls. It's because his projectile spawns a little bit closer to him, or a little bit further away, rather. So it lets you kind of do this weird interaction where you can hit through certain thin obstacles. It also lets you, if you are dealing with someone body blocking for Survivor, if you are dealing with someone body blocking as a survivor, or for a survivor specifically, you're able to, like, use your fog blade if you're close enough, the right distance rather. You can hit the body blocker, and then the fog blade just destroys the other one. Chair journalist, obviously I hear tinnitus, so I was kind of anticipating LG to go somewhere else, but she just runs in for the save immediately, so I blink over, hit journalist, and at this point I'm like, you know what, I might as well get my 4K, so I track this LG and just go back to her. She does this really lovely animation cancel here, paging me right before I vault, so that the vault animation cancels, and she makes a lot of distance from it. Very, very solid page. But unfortunately, I have a fog blade up my sleeve and some pretty darn good aim, and managed to hit her there. And that is both of them down, and we are very close to the end of the round here. Journalist does use exit path to heal up, but at this point, she is not far enough away for me to lose her. So I just run immediately to where she was, and I notice the scratch marks there. It would have been better for her to run, like, far, like, on the edge of the map. Then I might not have been able to see her scratch marks, but I did. We find her and hit her through the wall with our fog blade, and that signifies the end of this round. Alright, here we are on this next match. We have Leo's Memory. You can see the spawn on top left. We have a Mercenary, Psychologist, Archer, and Composer. Obviously, at the start here, I know where Composer is spawning. So I try and run immediately to them. I kind of look at the windows at the very top to see if I can see them running up the stairs. But obviously I do not see them do that, so I can deduce that they've ran somewhere else. And since there's a machine there, I anticipated they might have gone to the machine. So we take our Composer for first chase. Everyone else is on machines, obviously. I kind of play really bad here, if I'm honest. My pathing in general is really awful because I'm anticipating them to do a bunch of pallet waiting, but obviously they're not doing that. And I also don't know why I volted this, if I'm honest. Don't know why I volted, but that's fine. I also anticipate that they run for the window, but they don't. So I mess up my foggy blade, but they do a whack triple volt here. And for some reason run into me. So that gives me a good first hit. Obviously, we're going to keep trying to chase them. We do have our big fog blade up, so in my mind here, I'm thinking this should be a quick, easy down. As long as I hit it, but unfortunately, I miss. Unfortunately, I miss. But I do have something else up. And I blink there for the down. I could have waited to try and get a mind game on the palette to down them that way. But the ciphers were already progressing too much for my liking. I was getting a bit uncomfortable with the progress, and I wanted to just get a quick, as quick down as possible. So obviously double hit with the Foggy Blade into normal attack on the Archer. I wanted to get the Composer down here really bad, but yeah, you can see how this kite is going immediately. I end up getting stunned. This Composer is very good. This is a very good Composer. So at this point, I'm like, okay, I need to go back for someone else here. Mercenary heals Archer. Very, very unfortunate. We're in a really rough spot here. 2 ciphers left, but we get a good Foggy Blade hit on the Archer. I wait for my Laceration to go down. And this is huge, this moment right here. I managed to vacuum her out of the pallet so that the Mercenary either way can't stun me, and I hit him 2 times there because he got very greedy. Chair her very close by. Now we seem to be in a very good spot here. 1 on chair, 1 down. We're in a great spot here. Even though we have 2 ciphers left, this is a good angle for us. Pick up Mercenary. I chair close to basement here because I'm kind of anticipating maybe being able to ruin a rebound kite super quick and just chair basement. I'm looking around here. At this point, I expect them to go to Archer first over Mercenary because obviously she has more progress. And obviously that is what Psychologist does. We get a Foggy Blade hit on here. And we use the trail to move speed. She flywheels and we down. At this point, we're like, okay, we're in a great spot here. We know Archer is going to die here, so I just chair Psychologist. But we can also expect Mercenary to get saved, which he does. Composer does save Mercenary. Archer's out. I can expect Psychologist will end up dying. And at this point, I'm like, okay, so they're going to do one of 2 things. One of 3 things, actually. Either Mercenary is going to say, let's just go for this, and they go for the save, or Composer goes for the save, or they're healing. And I thought they would be healing up top, but I can tell that they're not. But I can tell that they're still around because of tinnitus, so I obviously still investigate this area. End up hearing them, and then I see them right here. Get a hit on the Mercenary before they full heal. Hit on the Composer. Mercenary will go down here. I do have Blink, and I think I blink here. Yeah. Because I still haven't gotten a read on this Composer. I'm really not sure what they do with pallets yet. So I wanted to blink just to make sure I don't get stunned. Obviously, I saw their head poking out, so I know they waited there. And we just use a mini Fog Blade to get that last chip damage. And that is game. Another 4K in the bag. GG's. Alright, here's our next one. Arms Factory. Fairy Lady, Enchantress, Professor, Gravekeeper. We know where Fairy Lady spawned, so obviously I'm going to try and run towards where she spawned. I'm looking for trails at this point. We do see her scratch marks. This Fairy Lady actually cooked, especially this first kite. She did quite well with her mind games here. She's obviously invis, so I can't really see her. And I fully expected her to be waiting at this pallet, but she just kind of ran past me. As y'all can see. Obviously, I can't see her, you know, aura. But I get a nasty hit. Bluetooth connection hit. Don't know how that hit, I'm going to be honest. But I won't complain. We have a big Fog Blade up, and we can see Pharaoh through the wall, through that little crack. She drops pallet, and we hit her with big Fog Blade, and she gets downed. Very, very good. Very good early down. No one has got 50% on ciphers, so that is a great early down. At this point, I can see every cipher shaking, so I know everyone's decoding. Enchantress is obviously there, and I know that one's Enchantress because I know she spawned over there. For Professor and Grave, I wasn't positive which one is which. And I kind of pressure Cypher here. I run for this Enchantress. I initially was like, okay, maybe I'll just actually chase her, but I saw that the Cypher Professor was on, stopped jiggling. So obviously we go back to chair, try and defend. I don't realize that Fairy Lady gets second stage here. Funnily enough. Which is crazy. They didn't save her before half. So I blink over, hit Fairy Lady. Also managed to bait out the shield from Professor. And again, I still don't know that Fair Lady got second. So her being out of the game here was a surprise to me, but a welcome one. All right, so we see 2 machines have been done here. Enchantress and Grave. At this point, I'm like, maybe I should have gone for Professor. It could have been a better kite to go for since he's already injured, but I wanted to test this Enchantress and see what her vibe is. So I go for her instead of the Professor. Gets a nice stun, but obviously I can hear her through the wall, her footsteps. So I just, Foggy Blade, managed to get the hit. I'll run on the outside. That way I can see where she's going a bit easier. At this point, I'm like, okay, I can chip damage, but she runs to the right instead of the left, which was unexpected for me. But I'm like, no worries, I can just chip damage again. A cool interaction. She did stun me, but my projectile still went. Because just of the timing of how that worked. I was able to activate my attack. Like, essentially the frame that she stunned, which let me get the, you know, the attack still procced, which means the projectile still went. Obviously, a Gravekeeper has a really, really safe rescue here. He has, obviously, his shovel, but he has a shield from Professor as well. And at this point as well, I'm pretty confident that I can tie, so I'm chill with going for whoever here. I end up getting the hit on Gravekeeper, but he does stun me. And at this point, I'm following scratch marks that I thought were Gravekeeper, but I look back and see Gravekeeper over there, so I know that this is Enchantress. But I'm okay with running here. I'm kind of looking over this loop to see if I can Foggy Blade her, but obviously not. She big stuns. At this point, I'm also like, okay, is she going to go for that window? But I obviously see her scratch marks going a different way. And then I get a nice hit through the wall. Lovely, lovely, lovely. All right. We chair her. At the same time we chair her, Gravekeeper does get up as well. And because Gravekeeper isn't injured, I can predict that Professor's going to go for this. So I kind of just assume Professor's going for it and Grave is going to decode. But obviously, we can see Grave is going in. But I don't know that. I still know that Professor is here. I bait out a shield. And at this point, I'm like, oh, okay, Entrance just got saved. I'm just going to kind of keep waiting. So I bait out both shields and then hit him. And at this point, I'm like, okay, what should I do here? Trying to get some information, and we hear where Gravekeeper was. He goes into shovel, but I hear Professor decoding, and I'm like, okay, I'm just not going to go for Grave here. Because I know Professor used Flywheel and both shields just now. So this is a very safe down for me. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Don't hear Tinnitus, so I pick this up without any worry and just chair. And at this point, I'm like, okay, what are they going to do? They're either going to decode or they're going to heal. And at this point, I'm like, they still might be decoding. So I check this. Obviously, no one's around. No Tinnitus either. Check this back one. No progress. No Tinnitus. So I'm like, okay, they're healing. Where are they going to go here? I was just near factory, and I didn't hear anyone. So obviously, I'm going to go the opposite way they could have ran, which is down this side of the map. And I hear Tinnitus, hear them healing. Down in trenches here, and at this point, I'm like, okay, there's kind of no reason for me to hit this Grave. Because if I do, he gets distance, he can take a window, he can run to a pallet. I try and use the chip to chip away at his health, but obviously don't need to. He ends up popping out on his own, and I hit him down. He also doesn't have self-heal, so we just chair Enchantress, and I think they do surrender here. Yep. And that's our another 4K. GG's. Alright, here we are on Lakeside. This is the most peculiar spawn, by the way. Don't know what's going on. We got a Prospector, Professor, Enchantress, and Novelist. Full kite team. First I thought, since this Prospector was just running from me, that I thought they might be a Sui, but I learned that they're not. Pretty early on into the game, just based on how they're playing. I miss my Foggy Blade. He gets a nice magnet on me, but we do get this hit. Vault over, obviously. I see him through the wall there. through that little broken window area, and obviously I have a big fog blade, so I really am not worried about not getting this hit since he's animation locked. At this point, I can also see the cipher that Professor is on is shaking, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna play hyper aggressive here and chair nearby so I can quickly get on this Professor for more pressure. And that is exactly what I do. I initially thought this might be Enchantress, but nope, it is Professor. I'm waiting for a shield here. Unfortunately, and I don't really know why Ripper's hitbox works the way it does, but I unfortunately was not able to get the Foggy Blade hit first. So I wasn't able to combo, but I do just blink past the Professor for the body block and blink past the Prospector Magnet to chair again. At this point, I'm like, okay, Professor is probably just going to leave. He doesn't really have a safe rescue, so I imagine someone else is rescuing. I knew that Enchantress was obviously on that one that she's on, and I knew someone was on boat. And I had seen that it stopped shaking, so obviously that means someone's running for the save. I try and preemptively get a Foggy Blade, but they do flywheel it. I should have been a bit more patient here to try and get another hit, but that's okay. We get a chip damage on Prospector, and I kind of do some fun I try and do animation stuff here to make them think I'm vaulting, but it doesn't work. That's okay, because we have chip damage up again, and we just down Prospector. Lovely. Guys, let me know in the comments if you like this type of video, if you're enjoying this sort of more so a match review with commentary sort of situation going on. If you like the way that this sort of flows and enjoy this commentary over how my normal ranked match stuff goes, let me know. I might do more. At this point, I'm like, okay, might as well go for Novelist Kate, since obviously the first person I see, and also he's injured. So we just go for him. At this point, I don't know where Professor is, but I know that Enchantress has been MIA, and I can predict that the one doing ciphers the most is the one that's been most MIA, which is Enchantress. So I can tell that that one far away is Enchantress, and I see that one shaking. So I'm like, okay, I last saw Professor over there, and in general, that side of the map, I know he was on, so I can predict that that's the one he's on. So I obviously now know where both of them are. I'm trying to bait Professor to run in, and at this point, I'm like, maybe they're healing. Maybe they're healing. And I see Tinnitus. I see the cipher not moving anymore. So I'm like, okay, Professor's here now. And we just go for a lovely thing. I chip first to get rid of shield. And then I blink down. At this point, I don't see ciphers moving, so I don't know where Enchantress is. I think I might hit Tinnitus here. Yeah, there's Tinnitus. Obviously, Novelist does die, so that's her tie secured. I still don't know where she is, but I do know she's around because of Tinnitus. She's doing a great job keeping herself very sneaky, even though I don't think that's what you're supposed to be doing on Enchantress, if I'm honest. Still don't know where she is, but I do turn and see scratch marks. Can tell that she is running for this now. Fog Blades end up hitting Professor. I get another hit on Enchantress, and at this point I'm like, okay, dungeon's right here. Best bet for me right now is to slug for the 4K, so that's what I do. Get chip damage there, get kind of another Bluetooth hit on her, and that will be it. Yeah, GG's.